It's Tuesday. It's Tuesday. It's Tuesday. It's Tuesday. It's our favorite day. It's our
Hey,
favorite day. It's our
hey,
favorite day. It's our
hey.
favorite day. And we are getting reconnected. Boom. I figured I would add a little spin there. So, hey guys, welcome to the Connected Corner. I'm your girl, Tori Rose, and we have the amazing and awesome, most beautiful co host. My co host is bad. Please tell us, ma'am, who you are.
I am Kiana B. The B is for bad today. How about that?
Baby, she bad,
The
sis.
baddest.
Love it. The baddest. She the baddest key. What you know about her? She the baddest key. Yeah. So we are excited. There's a lot happening every day. It seems like instead of 24 hours, we get 38 to 40 hours of activity within the 24
Mhm.
hours. So we are excited to get reconnected to
Yes.
amazing guest who is going to be talking about making an impact with financial literacy. So, without further ado, let's bring her forward, Miss
Hey.
She's Busy
Hello.
E. Hey, Miss
Hey.
Erika Dorsey, Miss Financial E, Miss Busy E. How's it going?
Good. How are you guys?
We're amazing.
Awesome.
We're amazing. So, how's life for you?
Life is good. I have no complaints. My kids are done with virtual learning for the most part. Thank goodness for that. We survived. Oh boy, yes. So that has definitely been a good moment to start the midway through the year, knowing that we can kind of start the vacation. The world is opening back up a little bit, so we'll be safely trying to get acclimated back into some activities we used to do prior to the pandemic. As far as work and business is good, work is going well. It's always a challenge working with Baltimore City Public Schools, but it's effective. It's effective. I don't deal with the same types of challenges that most people do because I'm on numbers. So it's black or white with me. So it's not too many
Right.
things I have to work around with that. And business has taken a shift in a good direction. So I'm very thankful for that. Yes.
Well,
Awesome.
we are glad, and that is why, it's so awesome to just reconnect with previous guests. And so we are always excited, to talk to you. We work
Mhm.
with you, we know you're into the numbers. And so we definitely want to talk about the shift and the things that have been happening since the last time that you were on the show a few years ago. And we always have you come on, people need to get right, right? They
Yeah.
need that financial piece. And I just feel like, as part of the Connected Corner, we want to bring people news and resources. And that
Mhm.
is something like we can't talk enough about financial
Right.
literacy, right?
Yeah.
And getting people in a good place. So you've told us like how you've been doing and how things are working. We know that life is getting back to, as people say, like a new way of normal, because I don't
Well,
know,
normalcy,
like,
yeah, somewhat,
yeah,
yeah.
some type of normalcy. But
Yeah.
speaking of like the shifts in your business, tell our viewers what specifically now services and products like you're offering now through Miss Financial E.
Okay, so currently, well, I'll say this. The last time we all spoke, or when I was on the show, I believe I was preparing for one of my last classes and it's so ironic. I had really prayed about it and thought about it. Even talked to my therapist about it. I told her that I wanted to move my business in another direction, but I wasn't sure which way to go. And in December was my last class for 2019, and then 2020 happened. So it
Mm.
was kind of divine that I had already been phasing out of the courses or the classes in order to kind of figure out what would be next for me and what was a good fit and where I was comfortable. So what happened was instead of the classes being more of adult, it shifted into working with my nonprofit, KDW Cares, which I'm a treasurer for. So what happened was I began to teach classes through that through the nonprofit. And then I also connected with I Am Mentality to teach their boys as well. So I took it from more of a profit aspect to a nonprofit aspect to really take time to really connect with the youth during a pandemic. Because as you can imagine, life was changing, but how could they also learn some things outside the classroom that will be beneficial to them long term? So that's where that direction came, maybe in like the summer of last year. And then that followed into the fall, which actually pushed all the way through till into financial literacy month in April of this year, where I was, you all guys came on, did an amazing job helping us with that initiative. It was amazing. I couldn't have done it without you guys. It was so ironic because our founder, Steve Williams, he said, we need to find two facilitators. And I was like, I got it. Like, I didn't even have to think twice about it. And it was such a perfect fit. So like I said, just the thought around the whole what's going to be next with classes, it divinely came together. So that was it was really on point and really a perfect way to move forward in 2020. And then outside of that, the profit side became, okay, a lot of small businesses decided they needed to get right financially. So my bookkeeping aspect skyrocketed. Whereas I did bookkeeping for maybe one or two companies, not too, not too heavy, kind of like really light about it. And it was just kind of like, okay, the fire got behind my back to push it forward. So I had one or two clients and I have 10 clients. So I've been helping a lot of small businesses with their bookkeeping because, again, realizing that this is a time when either you're going to get your business finances in order or your personal. This was the pandemic was the perfect opportunity to level up. You didn't have to spend the type of money you were spending before. You could actually save, maybe pay something off. There were just so many opportunities to just kind of redevelop your finances. And even outside of that, taking whatever your earnings are, if you were able to get earnings, whether it was unemployment or regular income, and how can you make money off of that money? There was so many channels of income that came out of this period of time. And so, I mean, I know there's the jokes about, oh yeah, take a stimulus and do 10 things. No, take that and try one thing. If you don't want to try one thing, get your crab legs. As long as you pay your bills, I really, it doesn't matter. But it's just a matter of how can I make my money fit, even especially like fixing credit. Like, there's so many outlets of fixing credit legally, national companies that are out there. So it's so many things. Like, even if you didn't do it in 2020, definitely in 2021 for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, that is awesome. The shift, and it's just amazing. Like we said, how things happen. We
Mm-hmm.
had the pandemic. We've said that a lot. People, if you did not, spring forward, have some growth, really do some shifting,
Mm-hmm.
and looking at where you were, whether you were somebody that never thought about being an entrepreneur or kind of thought about being an entrepreneur,
Yep.
or you had these other ideas about how to make money. We saw people just being so creative
Rob.
about
Yeah.
it, because although there were some who was lucky enough or blessed enough, whatever, to get that unemployment right away, there was others that was 6 months, 7 months or whatever, waiting.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
so they had to eat, they had to
Yeah.
make things happen. And so that's, good in that sense of being able to now, shift what you're doing for the financial literacy. For those who had your classes before, I'm sure they were happy that they had them before that
Yes.
pandemic hit. Right?
Absolutely.
Because
Absolutely.
it put them in a real look. Tori said, "Yeah, I was."
Yes. Smart
It put
place. Yes. Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
we were in the classes. It put them in a mindset, in a place
Mm-hmm.
where they probably wasn't as panicky,
Yes.
right, as others, because they didn't have that training. And so now, with all these businesses and stuff spawn out of it, now
Mm-hmm.
you're able to increase the other part of your business, right, your service with the bookkeeping. So that is completely awesome. And so you guys, make sure you're connected with Miss Financial E. You can follow her on social media, and make sure you're watching now. You subscribe to our YouTube channel,
Yes.
the Connected Corner. If you're watching on Facebook, go over to YouTube and subscribe so you do not miss this valuable news and resources that we are bringing you. And so we'll continue the discussion. So in all of that, like, good happening and thinking about all the different things that you're doing, what has been the greatest challenge that you've had to overcome, especially, with the pandemic, right? So you were kind of had your foot in the door of making the change, but what were some of the challenges in that? And then what did you learn from it?
I think some of the challenges were I found myself just really stuck, like, stuck, not knowing which way to go. So although I had the insight in 2019 to end the classes, then it was like, now I literally cannot do classes. Like, there's no way that I'm going to connect with people in public. So once that happened, the challenge, it went from not knowing, being stuck, to I have to learn how to do the online platform. It's interesting. Years ago, when I first started my business, a really good friend of mine, Ngazi, one of my best friends, she actually put me into that platform. This was like this is probably it was like 5 years ago when it wasn't as popular. So I wasn't as familiar with that platform. So I had to learn. So I had a lot of bumps and bruises. The good thing was that the bumps and bruises came with kids, so they don't care. They're not as critical. They're just like, all right, whatever. They're not worried about it. So I was fortunate enough to have practice with them to learn. Like, I mean, something as simple as, how do I play a video while I'm on here and you can hear the video? So I had to learn how to do that. Knowing how to realizing I had to ask you guys how to record. Like, I don't fool with it unless it's like work, where it's a Teams platform. So you got the Teams, you got Zoom, you got all these different ways you can connect. It's like, well, you got to figure out what's the best one, what's the best platform for your business and what you're trying to do. So that was a challenge. I had to hit a hard learning curve, but it worked out, because had the pandemic never happened, I probably wouldn't have sat down and even thought about how can I do this. So even going forward, yes, I definitely want to get back in person with people. I promised myself, I said, I'm taking a break from classes to figure out what really is at the core, because I knew it was something different for the business. But now I was like, okay, hey, I have no problem getting back out there. And now I know that I can either, while I'm meeting people in person, I can deal with them virtually, which is great, because some people honestly do not want to talk about money in front of people that they don't know. It's not comfortable. They don't want to ask questions. A lot of times people come to a class like Tori's like, she out there. She out there. She like, I'm gonna say what I had to say. I gotta ask what I need to ask, which is good, because you need a Tori for almost every class to make people comfortable in the room. But now if you're on the online platform, right, then you can, people can say, they can put stuff in the chat. They have a comfort that you could never imagine not being in front of other people. So now I can do both, right, as opposed to doing one. So it was a lot of learning that I had to have happen, but it was worth it. It was valuable stuff, right? Very valuable.
Yeah. Look, you say Tori up next, but definitely, because they be like, well, I mean, she kind of put her stuff out there, so I guess I'll go here and ask this question.
Yeah, like, yeah, I'll say something too. Well, I'll add my sister what she's saying, because I can connect with what she's saying, right? There go y'all word, right? Connect. They connect with what y'all saying, and then there you go, right? So, yeah, so it's like, think about it. Sometimes I did have a toy in the room, so it's like, okay, it's kind of like the dry spell when people don't really want to open up. But now it's like, okay, I can get you. Hey, if you're comfortable sitting in front of me to talk about it, great. If you're not, if you want to connect with me, online, we can do it that way as well. And again, I have been told for some time to move this direction, so now I'm here. So.
Yeah. That's awesome. And it's funny because, believe it or not, I don't do that in everybody's classes. So if I'm in a friend of mine's class, oh baby, give me the cue, okay? And when I realize, because I recognize as a trainer, as someone that builds content and curricula, that this class, no one is going to get what we came to get if we're all sitting in here too prudent to be honest about why we're here.
Absolutely.
We're somewhere talking about finances. What you saw come in your class was desperation, because I was tired. Like, I make a lot of money. I'm doing well according to the social status. But why is it, at the end of the month, I'm not eating noodles because I'm craving noodles. I'm eating noodles because that's all we got. Like,
right.
And so too frequently we allow pride, or even, with the social, status or whatever, to stop us. So yes, I was there being Miss Talkative Tori for E, because it's you're my friend and this is your class. But more so, I was desperate, and I kept feeling like something was going to change. And so it's funny that you said that, and Kiana brought it up. Those of us who were in that class in 2018, 2019, we were prepared in a different way. And so spiritually, there was this press on the inside, like, get prepared.
Get ready.
For a shift, right? And so, you and Kiana talked about what some of the greatest challenges were. Thank you for being honest. And thank you for being transparent. We do want to say shout out to Steve and Tiffany Williams, Katie Cares. If you guys don't know who they are, go to Instagram, go to Facebook, follow them and connect with them as well. Another thing you said about the business and being stuck was good, because I think what some people realized was, while we make entrepreneurship look very sexy, someone called me yesterday and said, girl, you and your son always gone. We make it look sexy. It's not for everybody.
No.
And so for some people who started their businesses or started to attempt a business during the pandemic, they actually were faced with that fight or flight.
Yes.
And it showed them maybe I really don't want to walk away from my 9 to 5 solely.
Yeah.
Maybe I should do 9 to 5 and 5 to 9, or maybe,
Yeah.
I'm approaching this the wrong way. So my question to you is, when you were in that feeling kind of stuck, how did you deal with burnout or feeling
Mhm.
like just unmotivated? Give us some tips.
Okay, so I think the biggest thing for me is I'm one of those people, every quarter I'm always analyzing what's going on around me. I look at those 3 months. So now it's coming up, it's June. So literally July 1 is coming. So you're going to be looking at March the 1st through June 3rd to figure out, okay, what have you done? Okay, what could you have done better? Like I'm big on self-improvement. So I don't mind taking hits. I don't mind criticism. It's definitely good to have peers around you that will tell you your truths, instead of just kind of letting you just kind of float along and do things. I had a really good friend, one of my other very close friends, Jada. She's, so successful right now, and her and my other girlfriend, they both started a business. It's crazy. They started a business on the same day in March. I think it might have been like March 19th or something around there. And it was a back-to-back year. So maybe like 2017 and 2018, right? And I've watched how their growth has skyrocketed. And the two things that they told me was that, and I think we all get in this mindset sometimes, depending on how we grew up and depending on how we view having more, it's okay to want more. Like it's okay to say, I want that thing, I want more, more, more. And you're not being greedy. You're just saying, I want more. And not I want more for self, but I want more so I can give and share and take these gifts and give that to more people. And I was in a mindset like, no, I'm okay. I'm good. I was on, that's enough. And then I was positioned in this time to say, okay, let me prepare for more. Let me speak more. Let me manifest more. Right. So for me, those are tips, like write those things down that you want. And again, every 3 months, don't take, we say a lot of things in January of every year. We say a lot of crap, right? And it's like some of the stuff is applicable, but then sometimes you might want to cross your lips off. You might want to add something else because things are going to change, and the view of what you have in mind may change based on circumstances around you. So always have that evaluation for every 3 months. So the evaluation, the peer criticism, honest criticism, and just being realistic about your goals. Don't overwhelm yourself. I found myself in the beginning of my business, I was being very overwhelmed. I was trying to do everything. Okay, I'm gonna do taxes, I'm gonna do bankruptcies, I'm gonna do classes. Oh my gosh, I was every time somebody asks me to do something, they call it the oops, it's a bird syndrome. I was told that a while ago. It's called oops, it's a bird. Every time somebody asks you something, I'm gonna do it. What? No, you can't say yes to everything, like, because you're really saying no to yourself. So you have to learn how to say, okay, let me make sure this makes sense. Let me make sure this is gonna fit, and then I'll go from there. Because a lot of times people will put things on you, and if you don't take a moment to check and make sure, okay, is it go with my calendar or whatever, yeah, you'll be sitting around again burnt out. And again, the pandemic, I think everybody had a chance to just slow down, be still, and just kind of redevelop whatever they have going on, whether, like you said, it be work, their entrepreneurship journey, and what that looks like, and maybe postpone some things, put some things off. Because if you're trying to do everything based on what everybody else is doing, nah, because you don't know what they have to do to get there. You don't know what they're saying to get there. So
Very
definitely
true.
that.
Very true. Girl, dropping the gems. And so, for anyone that's watching us, if you have not subscribed yet to our YouTube channel, you are doing yourself a disservice. You are not getting connected. So get connected and subscribe to our YouTube channel by going over to YouTube, typing in The Connected Corner, and click that subscribe button. Get notified when we go live. We are always bringing you news and resources you can actually use. These are not just hypotheticals. These are real people doing real things who are offering real solutions. But guess what? You really got to use it. So make sure that you're clicking the button and that you are staying and holding yourself accountable through the Connected Corner. I like what you said about, wanting more and being in a position of manifesting and speaking more. We are big on manifesting. We are huge on affirmations and being sure that we are firm. But one thing we understand is that the vibration always precedes the manifestation.
Yeah.
And so what happens is, for some people who are not positioning themselves in the right place, well, you're not positioned. So it makes sense if it doesn't manifest. But for
Right.
those others, those people who feel like I'm positioned in the right place and it's just not happening for me. Well, where are you vibing? Where's your vibration? What are you speaking? Are
Right.
you working that plan? And do you have your GPS on, right?
Hmm.
Sometimes people can be in a position of needing help, and help is right here, but help can't find you because your GPS isn't on. We didn't even know you
Right.
needed help. And
Right.
so, for anyone who's listening, E, what advice would you give them if they're like, look, I'm trying to manifest, I'm in position, I'm trying to be positive, but it's not moving, but I want to do what she does. So, what advice would you give them to start a business like yours or to go into like the accounting world as you have done?
The first thing is going to be align yourself. Align yourself to make sure that's, like you said, that's where you're supposed to be. That's your lane. Because sometimes we want to go somewhere, we're not in the right lane. It's like, I mean, we've done that. It's like, wait a minute, this is not making sense. So you have to make sure that you're aligned in the right place and ask questions. So yes, you might see someone that does something similar to you. I remember I would see financial advisors, and I would see like folk, people I follow on my business page, like, oh, okay, I like what they do. But it's like they have to do a whole lot of stuff to get that. And am I willing to do that thing to get where I am? But it might be one piece of what they do that you might like, and no one could do it like you do. So, for instance, I teach classes, but I teach classes from a very, I'll say in a nice urban sense of the word. So, for instance, like with kids, I didn't know how to connect with kids. I said, all right, well, only way I know how to connect with them is music. And I literally teach them financial understanding and freedom and literacy through music. It's so much music that has it in there, but that's how I connect with them. So I had to figure out my niche. And the crazy thing, that was my niche from the beginning.
Mhm,
Memes and music. That has been my thing. Memes and music. And people tend to, it's a connect, it's a connection piece for a lot of people. As
mhm,
far as getting into the accounting world, I always say start somewhere in finance. I started out in banking when I was 18. I started out in banking, and that's how I started. And I said, okay, I want to do this. I want to do that. I used to speak the things I wanted to do. So when I said I wanted to be an accountant, I found a job that I could go and do that thing. Even I didn't have my degree yet. I was probably 5 or 6 months shy of my degree. And then I continue to look and figure out what works for me. And it's funny because I left different parts of the accounting world. That acts of service is what drives me. So I pretty much stick to nonprofit. That's what works for me. Some people like the drive of the corporate finance. That's not my thing, but I had to learn that, right? So figure out, do you want to do something for profit or for people? And then once you decide that, then you'll know exactly where you should be with that. And there are a lot of certifications out there. You don't have to chase take a lot of certification degrees for that, because sometimes that can become more costly than trying to run your business or, stay in your field. And then you feel like you don't want to be there because it's not affordable, or you're boggled down with loans or things like that. So
mhm.
always make it affordable. If you're busting your budget to try to attain a certain status, you're doing the wrong thing.
Awesome.
So
I got my pen out. I got my pen out. So I almost, you see that? So I'm looking away because I'm writing my notes.
yeah,
When I'm at
yeah,
the feet of the experts, of the subject matter experts, I take notes. But
yeah.
so it was funny because when you said urban, I almost choked because there's an insider. Someone called me urban a little while ago, and I
Oh
said,
wow.
no. I'm not urban. I'm relatable.
Yes,
And
yes,
so there is a very different
yes.
dynamic to how you deliver, because someone's
Right,
going to hear this and say, oh, she said she's urban, but she's relatable. And
right.
so no different than what I was doing with, the weaves and the cars and the bushels of crabs. That was urban behavior.
Yeah.
I needed someone relatable to
Yes,
me, right?
yes.
So thank you for that.
No
And I
problem.
know Kiki is going to be excited to talk about, you said, figure out if you want to do it for profit or for people. I just heard
Mhm.
Kiana all over that. Ooh, child.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I was
That's people
like,
drive. Yeah.
woo, like, yes, you see me go like this, like, yeah, that's the quote.
Yeah.
Put that down. Because it really is, especially people, well, those who watch or follow and understanding, like, even with us, right? We're friends, we're family, we're all doves here,
Right.
when you are in the same industry, we're both accountants, we're both in a people always go to the they've asked me that woman, like, oh, y'all not like, how does that work, because you
Right.
guys are all in the same thing, and this is a perfect example of being in the same industry, giving advice to those people to make sure you're in your lane, right?
Mhm.
Because accounting is an industry. we have facets like nurses
So
and
many.
doctors, right? You
Yeah.
have pediatricians, you have, orthopedic. There's no different. You have tax accountants, you have, CPAs, you have
Yeah.
management accountants, you
Yeah.
have those who do bookkeeping, those who don't. I don't want to do bookkeeping.
Yeah.
So we're not in competition because any client that comes to me that needs bookkeeping, you
Right.
already know. Like,
Right.
let me give you my girl number, right?
Right.
Because that's not what I do. It's not my
Right.
lane. And
Right.
sometimes we have to figure out it doesn't matter if we're capable of doing
Right.
it, right? Because
Because you'll be
we both,
miserable. Mm-hmm.
you'll be miserable, right? So it's not always about capability, but it's also about, is that your lane, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
hopefully, if got a great management accounting degree like we did from the great
Yeah.
Coppin State University,
Yeah.
you could do it all in the
Yeah.
fields of
Yeah.
accounting, right? But I don't
Absolutely.
want to do it all. All right. I
No.
don't want to do it
Mm-mm.
all. And so I think having those gifts of numbers, you've found a way to use it for the people,
Yes.
right? Because we could go make, we already know, there's no
Yeah.
limit, right, in this field because financial people are needed. But much like yourself, I figured out a long time ago, I was like, yeah, I'm not for the CPA public accountant life.
It's
Like,
not my thing. No,
that's
it's not
not the
my
life I
thing.
want, And so you want that satisfaction because it's about serving. So if you have a
Mm-hmm.
service heart, it's like, well, now how do I use this financial background and
And it's a
skills and
gift. Yeah.
talent for
Mm-hmm.
people? So I so
Exactly.
appreciate that. With going through your career and doing the things that you've done, tell our audience again, like, what are some of the best resources that have helped you along the way? Kind of piggyback on the advice of how, but then what are some of the resources that have helped you along the way?
I've definitely gotten into a lot of books. Some books I do a lot of like online. I just do searches. I'm big on research. Uh, Definitely financial books. Rich Dad Poor Dad. I read it for kids. I read it for adults. That's always a great go-to book, and it's basic. It kind of gets your mind wrapped around that whole idea. Big on David Ramsey, even though it's more spiritual, but Dave Ramsey breaks it down in layman's terms for people who really want to get to that financial place of stability, but they want to do it in a spiritual way. So that's always been a good source for me as well. And then he has another gentleman, I forget his name. I believe his name is Anthony Neal. Anthony Neal, he's a really good resource too. And all these people on Instagram, you can follow them, subscribe to their newsletters, and I definitely go through and read those. And I always try to find people who do what I do. When you find people who do what you do, it kind of leads you to the way, like, you know what? I like you said, that person's relatable. That makes sense to me. Let me try and go about it this way and see if that works out for me. And honestly, just being in a space where my one of my first clients was Steve KUW Catering. He's like, okay, I want to start bookkeeping. I'm like, okay, well, what are you doing? So he's like, all right, well, he was one of those people who wanted to start on the front end. And then he said, oh, I'm going through QuickBooks. So once he got on QuickBooks, I started taking the courses, and a lot of courses are free. And then I connected with Nayo to ask her, well, how do you do this? So again, I'm just asking people simply, how do I do this thing? And then just they basically, but again, it's up to me. You can lead a horse to water. I had to drink. So I had to go and continue to dig, find information, and always do my research. And thankfully, like I said, even with the classes, there's always been someone who let me practice. So I've always been a place where somebody let me practice, and I use that as my tool so that I can service somebody else. So yeah, always have room for practice. And it's so funny. Um, Client of I just reobtained recently. Some years ago, he had a family PRP business, that's mental health service clinic, and he fired me in the first 3 months because he didn't know what I was doing. I came back. He found somebody connected him to me just recently. He's like, I remember you. I said, I remember you too. I said, yeah, so you want to rehire me? Because again, knowing the books on the front end, now we're working backwards, but it's okay because he's in position. He can afford it. And now we're moving forward. And now I'm able to connect him to all. It's crazy. In the beginning, he wasn't really making a lot of money, but now I've connected him to an investment person, connected him to a retirement person. Like, so now it's like everything happens for a reason. We weren't ready for one another at that time, but we're ready for each other now. Yeah. Yeah.
Boy, I'm telling y'all, if you don't understand so I want people to get, because sometimes, you gave the resources of the books. I will say that through our guests, what resonates continuously as a resource is people.
Yeah.
And so we love the connect because
Right.
that is, what we do. The Connected Corner came out of Beehive Connected Group because
Right.
we understand like it's so important to continue to have the different connections of things, and they come together right when you need them.
Exactly.
And so that is so important for people to understand the news and resources that you get. Some of it is very tangible, right? Very
Yeah.
tangible. But some things it's a resource, it's news, like for you to take that tip,
Yeah.
that put it here, right?
Right.
And make a note of it and write that thing down because it's something that's going to help you manifest something later. And so
Exactly.
just understanding like what it means when we're talking about news and resources. So thank you so much for that. We are coming down to our time. And so again, tell the people where they can find you, locate you, connect with you, and use your services.
Yeah, so I'm definitely on Instagram. So the caption at the bottom, Miss Financial E, that's the exact handle. You can find me on Instagram or Facebook. And when you go to either of those social media sites or networks, you can also find my website, so I can be connected there as well. And it'll take you straight to an email if you just have a question, anything. And I don't mind answering a question. I'm not going to charge anybody for just asking me a simple question. Some people are like, well, how much? I'm like, no, it's just you just ask me a few questions. Everything is not worth a fee. Some things are just giving you just general information, unless we have to do other services. But I can be found either way: email, website, Instagram, Facebook.
Miss Financial
Yes,
E.
I love it. And I'm your girl, Tori Rose. Find me on Instagram, Facebook at Tori Rose the Connector. And I want to start using your hashtag, which is like paid time off. I like that.
Yes.
I
That's
saw
amazing.
that. That's the movement.
Yes.
I saw that. I was like, I like that.
Yes.
Because
Need
mine
that.
has been hashtag I travel and train, especially in the
Okay.
so hashtag travel and train or get
Okay.
paid to travel and train, whatever. But I like paid time off.
Oh,
Anyway,
thank you.
yeah, where can we find you?
You can find me at Paid Time Up. No, you can find me.
Yes. I know that's what that. No, you were right.
Right at Kiana B. Jones on all social media platforms. And you can find us, the Connected Corner, on IG, Facebook, and of course YouTube. And make sure you subscribe and hit the bell so you're notified.
Awesome. See you guys next Tuesday.
Good night. Thank you
Right.
for joining
No
us.
problem.